Hey, someone messaged me the other day and told me they wanted to hear more of my visions, and I'm in a hotel right now, and one of my friends is in the room, so I came into the bathroom to talk privately. It's early, like maybe 1 or 2 in the morning. So another one of my visions, I was like sitting on the porch one day, and I wasn't sleeping. I was awoke. I just closed my eyes, and when I closed my eyes, it was daytime. I could see this city. Well, first of all, what I saw was these huge blocks. They were like a beige color. They were very clean. There was no dust falling off of them. There was no mud or dirt or anything. It was like these light beige, like a light golden color, but like kind of like the color of sand on a clean beach. But there were these huge blocks, and there were no men, there were no women, there was nobody. I wasn't even there. I could just see. It was like I was in the sky, and the blocks all came together like on one another. There was no machines or anything. They all just came one on top of the other, on top of the other, on top of the other, on top of the other. They all just went into the perfect place, and they began to build a city. I had drew a picture. I don't have it with me now. It was like in the shape of a diamond. I guess you could say a square, and the buildings were like kind of the color of sand, and there was one that was really tall, like extremely tall, the tallest building I ever seen. It might have been miles tall, and the other buildings were, I don't know if they were houses or condos. It looked kind of like I guess I could say condominiums, but it was, the thing about this city was all of the blocks started building just different buildings all on their own. I know it was God sending these blocks into place, and there was so much light in this city. It was no sun, but the city was so bright. It's the brightest city you've ever seen. And then, after the diamond was complete, and I saw all these different, I could see the entire city. And then this one building was still being built up, the tallest building. All the blocks just kept going on. It just kept coming out of nowhere. These blocks and building this city, and on the border of every building there was like a thick color. It was similar to turquoise. It was like a thick border of turquoise that would go like from the left of the building. It might have been, it was thicker than this of course, but it would go from the left of the building all the way up to the top. Some of them had like a triangular top. Then it would go to the bottom of the building, and then it would go to the ground and to the next building. Like this turquoise border was on every single building throughout the entire city. Like it just went, it never stopped. This turquoise border of the city. It just went and went and went and went and went. It was the cleanest city. There was no trash. There was no dirt. There was no scent of anything. It was just a perfect city, and no one lives there. And I remember in the Bible I read about a city being that was built with no hands or without hands, and I know that's a city that I saw. So I don't know if that's the city that we're going to be in once it's all said done and over with, when we come back to the earth from heaven, like after the 1,000 years, or I'm not sure, but it's the city, whatever it is, it's the city built with no hands because there were no cranes. Man can't build these buildings. It's not an option. God was building these buildings, and I didn't see him. All the blocks just came together. They just came out of nowhere and built the building, and every block was it was the exact same size. It was like a perfect size of everything, and then it just had this border. It was like a color you've never really seen. It was actually like, instead of turquoise, it was like when you go to Florida and you go to a really clean beach and you look at the water and it's that transparent light blue type green. Sometimes it's like a transparent darker blue. It looked like clean water on a beach. That's what color like that border was. It was beautiful. The whole city was beautiful, and again, there were no shadows. it was only light in the whole city. And it was this huge diamond, like it was the biggest city that you've ever seen. And it was it was a beautiful city. I was just thinking about that right now. Um, that was another vision that I've had. I'm trying to think of others that I've had. I've had many visions. I'll probably make a video soon about I'm 29 now. My grandmother died when I was 14, and I've seen her and spoken to her many times since then. And I don't mean I dreamed that I spoke to her. I actually went to locations to speak with her. I spent time and felt like I spent years talking to her. Like there weren't any hours or minutes. It was just years that we talked. And sometimes I don't even remember all the stuff we talked about. It's like a lifetime of talking. But the things that I do remember always are things that are actually happening here on earth. I feel like the other things that we talk about are not earthly, but I can remember the few earthly things we talk about. You may be surprised at some of the things that I say. But yeah, that was one of my more vivid visions that I didn't expect at the time. It just came. But I have not forgotten that. I had that maybe a year ago. I also made a move across the country, and I had a vision a year before I moved, or maybe like 8, 9 months to a year before I moved, of me being in this apartment looking at these mountains and clouds and this looking at a preacher on my TV and having this cell phone that at the time I didn't have. I had no idea that I would be living across the country. I had no idea who this pastor was. It was a Chinese man. I had never seen a Chinese Christian pastor, just to be honest. And I just so happened to be one day, the vision that I had, I'll get into it on another one, but the vision that I had that day, like maybe over a year ago now, but it was a while ago, I was sitting at this table watching this TV. There was a Chinese man on the TV. I didn't know who he was because I wasn't. It turned out to be a preacher called Francis Chan, but at the time I never heard of him and I wasn't watching sermons. But there was a Chinese man on TV. I looked down and there was a gray phone and a gray case of cell phone. And to the left there were like two white men. I don't know who they are. I still haven't seen them. And behind that was the mountains and the clouds and everything else. And now I basically live in the desert on a mountain. So at the time I had no idea that I would be moving. I wasn't thinking about it at all. And after I moved there, I didn't think of the vision. I was there for about 4 or 5 months. And one day I was watching this sermon by Francis Chan. And he said something. I don't remember what he said, but I had to. It's like I felt like I was not listening. And I rewinded the sermon. And I rewinded it again. I rewinded it again. After I rewinded it 7 times, suddenly I realized that this was the man that I saw in the vision. And I looked down and I saw the gray cell phone. I looked up and this was the TV. I looked out the window and it was the mountains and the clouds that I saw a year prior. So that was my answer to, did I just make this move across country for any reason? What was the point of me being here? I had a couple of times I thought, why am I here? But also in the Bible it says that I'm just gonna say I'm not reading the Bible right now, but it says that God will hide you in high places in the mountain or something like that. And here I am, and I'm closer to God than ever. I'm closer to God now than ever. So I know that it was a place for me to be. Right now I'm on the other side of the country visiting, and also I had a vision. I can't remember what it was today. I had sometimes I have flashbacks because I have visions and I don't always remember them until they happen, or sometimes I don't get it. It's like, what does this even mean? And then a year later, I'm in the situation, or I see exactly what I saw a year ago or 8 months ago, And that really kind of lets me know that I'm on the right path, because I've lived all over the country, on every coast of the United States. So I used to think that I was just moving around, but no, God is actually leading me to all of these places. And it's a lot of other things that go into account that allow me to be with God in what I feel is a different way. Because a lot of times sometimes my family thinks that I go so far away from them that I don't want to be bothered with them, but it's not the case. I feel like I'm being sent to these places on assignment that I have to learn. When I went to the desert on the mountain, I started laying hands on people and healing people through Jesus Christ. Better, I should say, Jesus Christ healed people through me. How should I say it? Jesus Christ is the one who's doing the healing. In His name, I was able to lay hands and heal people. I pray for. Sometimes I just go out and pray for random people in the street. Sometimes they don't want me to pray for them, then I pray for them anyway. So I feel like a lot of I have a friend that's going through a spiritual awakening as well, at the same time that I've been going through it. So a lot of people, she's 29, a lot of people I feel that are going through a spiritual awakening. I feel that God is pouring out His Spirit upon the earth. I have really, and some people, think you're talking crazy, whatever, and that's fine. But I want to say God has opened my eyes in a way that they weren't open before. And I'm not always able to see. Now I can't listen to everything. I can't look at everything. I barely go to the movies. I don't hardly watch TV. Every once in a while I do. And when I do it, I hear all the lies that are on the news channel. It makes no sense. It's all lies. You watch movies and so many of them are demonic. They're pointing to Satan and they want to make you think that Satan and evil has power, but evil and Satan has already been defeated. There is no power in evil or Satan. There's nothing but lost. That's the losing. That they've already lost the battle. They're not even losing. It's lost already. They don't have a chance or a choice. I will also come to you and tell you why Satan is attacking. Well, I'll tell you now. What's the point of waiting? Satan is attacking because at one point in time, fallen angels were marrying women and creating children with them. Their children were demons as well, and they were evil. That's when God destroyed the earth with the flood. Their children don't have an opportunity to be saved. However, we do. Through Jesus Christ, our souls can be saved. Their families, their children are damned. They're in hell. That's it. There's no option for them. So Satan and his angels are angry that we have the chance to actually take our place in heaven, because Satan and his demons will never, no matter what they do. They've been petitioning for many, many years.